Hey Nadia, how are you? Very nice to
Hey,
meet you.
Francisco, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Doing great also. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. I know it's been a very strange weeks, very strange days, but also very good time to see this documentary, which is lift the spirits of the people to see that you can achieve everything that you
Mm.
want to achieve.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you got that from this film.
Yeah, and tell us about the process. You were involved from the beginning of the tour. Before that, how was the process, the onboard process to get this documentary going?
Sure. So I had gotten a phone call a few weeks almost before Mrs. Obama was getting ready to go on her book tour. And through a series of conversations, I then get an opportunity to go to DC to meet Mrs. Obama. And I had a few weeks to prepare for my meeting. And, once I got there, I go into Mrs. Obama's office, and it was just a wonderful experience meeting her. We really had a great conversation and was kind of like talking to an old friend. She gave me a big hug, and it really helped calm my nervousness that I had with meeting her. And after that, we spoke about our neighborhoods that we grew up, about our mothers, and in that meeting, she was just like, let's do this. And so it all happened very quickly. And then, after that, I was out there on the tour with her from the very beginning.
That's right. And what's the thing that most surprised you about being so close with this big important figure for politics and for the world?
One thing that really surprised me about Mrs. Obama was her sense of humor. She's very, very funny in a way that I didn't expect. And so it was just such a joy being out filming her, especially when she was interacting with, her brother and her mom. I think that's really when that humor comes out, and it was a wonderful surprise to have that.
Also, Kamasi Washington scored the commentary. Did you pitch that idea, or how Kamasi Washington name was brought to the table?
So I knew very early that I wanted Kamasi Washington to score this film. Mrs. Obama has loved jazz since she was a child, and I really felt that Kamasi's sound could, translate her story in a way that would be really special. And I fortunately had a connection to Kamasi Washington, and so it was not hard at all to meet him. And he had come to New York to do a concert, and so I met with him on one of his off days, and I mentioned the project to him, and he was immediately on board and was like, whatever it takes to make this happen, we'll do it. And so it was a wonderful collaboration from that point.
And how was the process with him in order to did you send him the footage and then he began to work on the music?
Yeah, so this was a very fast process making this film. So we were editing the film as we were shooting, as he was scoring, so we would cut scenes at points and we would send it to him. And then I would have a conversation with him and say, this is what the scene is trying to do in the film, and this is what you see, and maybe it's also trying to do something else that you don't see. And so we were able to really sort of have this creative collaboration back and forth. And then Kamasi, he's just such a genius, and he worked quickly to be able to achieve the feel for the sound of the movie that it was a dream. It was more than I even dreamed of, really, in the end.
That's great. And well, the final cut, it's a documentary about becoming the tour. It's about a book, and I think that maybe some people will have some expectations that it's the whole truth story about Michelle Obama, what happened behind the scenes at the White House, or something like that. How did you cope with that expectation from the outside in order to get this story going and focus about the important messages that are being spilled on the book, but as well in the conversations, because it is not a classical story.
Yeah.
It's not a biography. It's not about a story of what's happening about the White House, but it's a story about people, one person who has been oppressed, and then she took the control of her life, and she was growing up until she became the first lady of the United States. But also, that didn't stop her. After that, she's still growing up and trying to inspire people around her.
Yeah, so to me, I wanted the film to be about two things, at least to start. One was about the story of Mrs. Obama that, started way before the 8 years in the White House and then continued on after that. So the idea of becoming is we don't just become one thing and then stop, but we continue to grow and to, develop as people. And the other idea was I was very interested in telling a story about storytelling. So what does it mean to share your story, and what is the importance of that? And the transformative experience that we see happen when Mrs. Obama, meets with young people, for example, and they share their stories with her, and so this was something that I was also exploring in the film. And that was important for me to, to do those two things, as well as then we have this tour, right? This great gift of a tour. And I wanted to really be in the present moment with Mrs. Obama. What a gift, that we get to be this close to such a historical first lady while she's hanging out with her brother and, and her mom and, is traveling around and having these moments. And so for me, just having those verite moments where we can, see her and the president walk down the hall together after a show, and, she can express, a little bit of do you think that was good? And, I think that's just something that's a very special quality that Mrs. Obama has that I wanted to make sure came through the film.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the time. Congratulations on the work, and hope to see you soon.
All right, Francisco, be well. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.